Hello, welcome to another episode of Cracking the Rich Code, the podcast. I'm your host, John Verico, and I'm delighted to be hosting this show, especially today. I have a very special guest, and yeah, I know I could say they're special. They're all special, but this one is special in a very special way. Uh, Dr. Ken Rochon is really truly a renaissance man. He does just about everything, and he is one of the most big-hearted people that I have come across. He has been in, I think he's written over 50 books himself. He's behind a bunch of projects that help promote people on podcasts, doing all kinds of things around the world. He's just an amazing guy. But I think probably one of the most unique things about him, and we have never featured somebody on this show who actually has an alias, makes you wonder. So let me introduce Dr. Smiley, Ken Rochon. Ken, how are you today?
I'm doing great. And now that you said my name, now my alias is not going to be worth anything anymore.
everyone knows who the superhero is behind the cape.
Well, good to be here, John. You're one of my favorite hosts. We've had you do events with us. You have such a real charm and a real sincere, heart-driven ability to make people feel really at home. So I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. I've loved being on some of the events that you've put together, especially the one for veterans, where we have a bunch of veterans telling their stories and sharing their stories, and that's really critical. I think there are so many stories out there that need to be shared, and that's why we are in the business that we're in, right? Helping people to tell their stories.
In the case of the veterans, it's the only event we have where they're just so humble. They're not even, they're just really saying how important the country is or how important their brothers and sisters are that serve with them. And it's an interesting thing. We're trying to spot someone as a hero, and they're like, I'm not a hero. I'm just serving. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true, and it's a mindset that we've lost, I think, in
Mhm.
society. I don't think the mindset is lost. I think acknowledging it has gotten lost. It gets overwhelmed by
I
other
think there's a
stuff.
degree of it that's gotten lost. If you talk to kids now versus when we were children, it was a big deal to play army in the neighborhood and say, I'm going to be a future warrior to protect our
Yeah,
country. And I don't think that's really it. It's more like Minecraft, where I killed you with this virtual gun and I'm never going to do it with a real gun. And by the way, it's not about killing; it's about serving
yeah,
and protecting.
exactly.
And when you take that oath and you say you're going to be serving this country, you don't want to die and you don't want to kill, but you're actually making a stand for freedom.
Yeah. Now you were in the army, right?
I was very brief. I went through ROTC at Johns Hopkins, did airborne, and got injured pretty bad with my leg.
So many people I've talked to have gone through that. I was one of the lucky ones and didn't get those kinds of injuries. My major injury, I was in the Navy and I was
Mhm.
25 years. My major injury was from drinking 6 to 10 pots of coffee a day.
Well, I was also lucky, John, because at my airborne class, it was crazy numbers. Something like almost 1,200 people went through. It was one of the largest classes in Vietnam, and I believe it was 5 or 6 officers left there paralyzed, so they were never going to walk again. So I will say those shoots are not as professional as we'd like, but the shoots are to get you down quickly without being shot at.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that's, you don't
Target.
want to go down that
It's
fast.
just fun being a hanging target and landing and saying, "Gosh, I wish I was alive."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my, long way to come to becoming Dr. Smiley. Where did that name come from?
You know, John, I don't know if anyone's ever had trouble pronouncing your last name, but mine's French, and I always know when there's a solicitor calling me, they say, "Is Mr. Rochon there?" And I'm like, "Wow." And so and I never correct it because I want them to always say it wrong, so I can always identify them as not a friend. But what happened was I was giving out smile cards that I never take credit that I made the card. Barry Shore made these cards. He gave me one in 2015. It just lit me up, and I said, I want to do this. And instead of people remembering Ken Rochon, they just said, "Oh, Mr. Smiley." And when I did my doctorate work during the pandemic, I said, there's one big benefit of this. I'm not going to be Mr. Smiley anymore. I'm going to be Dr. Smiley.
Dr. Smiley.
And my dissertation was on the really the success and failure of businesses and how they associate profit versus smiles, or the combination thereof. But if you focus on smiles, you always get profit. If you focus on profit, you won't always get smiles.
That is a brilliant way of looking at it. That is absolutely amazing. And with a name like Dr. Smiley, when I first heard that name, I was like, is this guy a dentist? With
That is a very common accusation, and I'd rather have that than people not really being able to identify that I'm associated with smiles. But it is funny that people immediately go to that. And you know what's weird about that, John, is that the veterans, there's this number 22 and there's this number 44 and there's even higher numbers about how many
Yeah.
suicides there are. And dentists are in one of the most stressful and suicidal careers because their career is so associated with pain. You're and
Yeah,
so
that's
someone's
true.
nagging, and they don't manipulate or tell the full story. If I was a dentist, which I'm glad I'm not, but if I was, I would focus on what I'm doing to bring a smile back to the person, and I would follow up with them later and go, "How is everything?" I don't think they have that connection to the good that they do. They're only connected to the pain they're causing.
The pain they cause in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as somebody who my pain threshold is kind of unique. My body rejects painkillers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, which is not a good thing,
Not really. No.
unfortunately. Yeah. So when I had my wisdom teeth taken out, it took 9 shots of Novocaine, and the
I think all
that
those
was just for one side.
yeah, yeah. See all those pots of coffee. You just need you need a lot more toxic stuff in you.
Well, and we're talking that dark navy sludge coffee too. So
Right.
6 to 10 pots a day. I had the metabolism of a hummingbird back then. So I just metabolized that painkiller right out of my system.
That's funny.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit more. Are all about helping to uh, helping to make people smile, bring smiles back into the world. And I think it's so important when we interact with other people. We
Mhm.
have an opportunity um, to make a difference in their life, and if you got to go around with a frown on your face or you're grumpy or whatever, and you're not offering a smile, the people you're interacting with feel that,
Mhm. Of
and
course.
they're going to lose their smile. When you smile at a stranger, besides the fact that they may think, "What the hell is this person up to?" But no, when you smile at somebody, they tend to smile back, and then they might smile at the next person, and they may smile at the next person, and so it actually is something that is beneficially contagious.
It is very much so.
I love.
And the smile you're reverting to is that it's the one that is actually not right intention. Of course, you think it's crazy, but if you are smiling with genuine love, it is not misconstrued. It is well
There you
received
go.
and passed on. And
There you go.
the smile is a gift you give, but you get it back so many times more. I am absolutely habitual about anytime having an interaction with a clerk, whether restaurant hostess, my service is phenomenal. And it's phenomenal because I've acknowledged they're human. I've also acknowledged that I'm here to make their life better, not worse.
Absolutely, and that is so true in every environment. Are other people. They are fellow human beings. They could be going through. You don't know what they're going through. There could be going. They could have things going on in their life we're not aware of. Uh, why do we need to make their day worse? You know.
The average response I get is, of course, just a thank you. But then the other average response I get is, I really needed that. That's important to note that, wow, if someone says I really need that, that's quite a vulnerable thing to say to a complete stranger. But what happens when they say that is magic afterwards. They're like, what can I do for you? I mean, I've had my room moved to a presidential suite, and I didn't say anything except for, I have a room for you. And I go, great. I'm sure it's the room you want. And they're like, actually, there's a better room. They
Yeah,
make it.
right.
So it's fun.
It's amazing what happens when you're just simply nice to people. And you wrote this in your chapter in the Cracking the Rich Code book.
I
You wrote
did.
about this. The title of your chapter is "Impact the World with Your Smile and Your Story."
And your story, yes, it is. It really is both, and because your story is the inspirational aspect that people see that you're just a human, that you are a human with vulnerable. You're just as vulnerable or authentic as anybody else wishes to be. And then the smile is that you got past whatever you had to get past, because everyone's gone through pain, everyone has had challenges, and everyone's had failures. And so if you're smiling still, you made it through it, and you probably made it. I have a gentleman that just published with me, and his name is Sean Crosby, and what a neat guy. He has an arm that just hangs down. He can't move it, and he was hit at 48 miles an hour, and tons and tons of TBI and all kinds of stuff. And he attributes his positive attitude and his smiling to the fact that he is doing very well in life right now. I mean, he's a real cool guy. And Barry Shore, the guy who handed me, he was a quadriplegic, and because of his positive attitude, he now walks with his staff. And yes, they're still debilitated, it's still challenged, but their attitude makes their life enjoyable.
Well, that's just it. When we've heard this, right? You can't always control what happens to you in life, but you can control how you react to it and how you let it affect you. You know,
I'd like to add something to that real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah.
When someone sees you smiling, John, and sees you happy, and they see me smiling, they see me happy, they see maybe Jim Britt smiling, being happy, they say, "Wow, you're lucky. You're so happy." And they don't. A lot of people that are not happy do not realize. I won't say people in general because it's not true, but
right.
People that are not happy, they don't always realize that it's just a choice. And I associate that choice with gratitude, which happens to be an event we're doing this month that I'd love to have you on, John. You're one of the most grateful people, and you're a person that serves. And people that serve understand what it is to have gratitude.
Thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about that event that you have coming up.
Well, like all the events we have on the Smile Channel, we're just looking for an excuse to bring community together. And so I just was curious, what is, Kindness Day? And I found that's in November. I said, when is Gratitude Day? It's in September. So I think it's September 23rd. But if you go to the Smile Channel, you can get the exact date. You can hit the register for the event. And John, you'll attest to this. We do not charge for events. Every event is free for 4 minutes. If you choose to upgrade your ticket or whatever, you can do that. But we want people to have a voice. We want people to feel that they're being heard. And I think that's the missing piece of people that are in pain. I think it's the missing piece of people that just think they're average, is once they're heard, they see they're more powerful and they feel.
And just want to clarify, when you say it's free for 4 minutes, it doesn't mean that you have a 4-minute window to be free, and if you miss that window, you have to pay. No, you get 4 minutes to share your story.
Yes, it's live broadcast, and you are getting 4 minutes without any charge to yourself.
And that's this particular event is 4 minutes. You've done other events with
that are long. Yeah, it depends what the type of theme is, but this particular theme, gratitude, for instance, it is a tighter theme because you're really just talking about one thing you're really grateful for, but you're going deep in that.
Yeah.
I gave you an example earlier that I just love. It's that, you can be excited about the fact that you're an Apple enthusiast and you love Apple computers, you have Apple Watch and all that stuff. And I am. I was the guy that bought the Apple iPhone 1. I'm the guy that bought the Apple brick. And, you can be grateful for that, but really go deeper. What is the deeper piece? And the deeper piece is Steve Jobs was adopted, and he was adopted by two wonderful parents. And the Paula Jobs and Paul Jobs, they cared about him having a great childhood. They gave him all the access to learn what he wanted to learn. And he's a brilliant guy, but I don't think if he had that access, he would have been the person he is. And his dad, one time Steve was painting the fence. He came in, he goes, "I'm done." And his dad looked outside and he says, "You didn't paint the inside?" And he says, "Yeah, I don't need to. Everyone sees the outside." He goes, "Yeah, but we see the inside." And so it taught Steve about taking pride in every single thing he did.
Right. And I think there's a moment, I think you said in one of the movies that are about him, that highlights a particular exchange where they were talking about the insides of the computers or the phones,
right?
And they were. Yeah, and he said something to that same effect, that nobody sees the inside. They just wanted to get the mechanics of the thing done, and nobody sees the inside. And Steve Jobs says, "Well, we do." And now I know where he got that from.
Yeah, and if you ever, I don't know about other computers, but if you ever take apart an Apple, which is really difficult with being titanium based, but I have seen I've seen them take it apart at the Genius store in the Apple, and you take it apart, it is a work of art in there. It is gorgeous. So. Enough said about Steve. Hey, Steve and Apple, I need a new Apple.
And we don't do things for those kind of promotions. They just happen.
It just happened.
But the thing is that your sense of gratitude is different because you look more deeply
Mhm.
into the cause of what brought you that joy.
Right. And I encourage people that when you are in that moment where you're kind of either frustrated, maybe angry, maybe even depressed, find something you're grateful for, and you can reuse it a lot. I reuse
Yeah.
the fact that I'm grateful for my son every day. I reuse the fact that I have my health. I can get up. I mean, and it's funny when you talk to people that maybe are a little older or had some health challenges. When you say, "How are you?" They go, "I'm alive." Like you hear the fact that that is awesome.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They can always find something to be grateful for.
Well, actually, I'd like to share something I'm grateful for that's very in tune with this show. I'm very, very grateful that I got to know you and met you through Jim Britt. Jim Britt has a magnet of collecting, well, not collecting, attracting the best heart centered leaders I've ever been in a mastermind. His mastermind is you cannot not meet someone there that you wouldn't want to have dinner with, that you wouldn't want to get to know more. I met Beth Robbins there. She is my favorite client from a standpoint. She's done so much with what we've given her, and look at how she shows up in the world. So we're just
Yeah.
excited. We've had several clients come out of Jim Britt's mastermind, and they're always primo.
And I had the opportunity to meet Beth, obviously through the mastermind as well, but got to know her a little more through this podcast, being able
Mm,
to host it and got to interview her, and then found out, she was the first person to come into the first edition
listen, yeah.
of the Cracking the Rich Code when it was still just an an iota of an idea back then. So,
And that's the type of person she is. She's a first person. She is a person that sees something and she doesn't let anything stop her. She is the epitome of the carpe diem movement that she's created. Seize the day and don't stop because life is too short to
yeah,
stop and say, "Gosh, I wonder if next life I can do this."
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that. Now, actually, we did not meet for the first time through Jim Britt. We met for the first time at a military conference.
yeah, the MIC, and
Yes,
and that was a special.
military influencers conference out in Las Vegas.
Yes, and that
That
was
was
a
the
special thanks to Robert and the compilation book that he has that put us all together. But we all had an opportunity to be at the table and share our wares, share our books, and it was really wonderful for that
yeah, that was
experience.
the first time. That was our first encounter, and then I was very delighted to re-meet you
Yeah,
again when with the Jim Britt stuff. And so, yeah, life comes full circle. And I always say, you never know. Be nice to everybody because you never know when you're going to meet them again.
yeah, you're right. And by the way, yes, that is definitely the first time I did get to meet you, but I really got to know you in Jim Britt's mastermind.
There we go. Yeah,
I got to hear your heart. I got to have
we
people
we had some
attest
time.
their experiences. And yeah, when you're at the event, and by the way, with me having a camera at the MIC, I was just like flying everywhere I was. But I mean, certainly every single person that was at that table was a gift. They were certainly a wonderful leader. They were a person that was a giver. So that, and by the way, I'm going to MIC in Tampa in 3 weeks. And are you going to be there?
I'm not going to be able to go.
I have to represent you again.
You will. You can carry the smile forward.
It'll be a pleasure. It'll be a
By the way, I
pleasure.
love your shirt. Uh,
Yes, in case there's a doubt that there's an upside down, okay? Because it could say "keep frowning," but it says "keep smiling." You know,
keep smiling. I love
there's a really interesting shirt that has two dots instead of here. They're here,
it.
and they have one this way and one. I'm sorry, one this way and one in the opposite way, and it says "decide." And the decide is if you turn your head this way, it's a smile. If you turn your head this way, it's a frown.
That way
And
it's a frown.
it's a symbol for suicide. People that have considered suicide. They'll get this tattoo to remind themselves that it's a choice.
Oh, that is brilliant. I had no idea. I did not know that was that thing that came from that realm.
Yeah, so I
Wow.
started printing shirts up. And by the way, there's a store that you can get these shirts on the Smile Channel, and we really don't make. I mean, if we make $5, I'll be shocked. But we put these up because when you wear these things, it causes conversations. Can you imagine? And by the way, this is not imagine. This is my reality. But can you imagine
Oh.
when I have whoever smiles first wins, and I wear that to Southwest, and I go through, and everyone's just like saying, "I won, I won."
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's funny. I have a couple of shirts that have things on them. The one of them says that you matter.
Yeah.
I've got one that says on the back of it things like for the person behind me, know that you are beautiful, you make a difference, and all that, and you are enough. And I've had so many people stop and and
Yeah.
and compliment on the shirt, and I'm like, don't compliment me on the shirt, just get the message, and feel it. And that's
Yeah,
the
and
impact I
you
want to
can
make.
do
It's all about the impact we want to make in the world.
it's all about that. It's all about that. I do wanna say you can even have fun just making a silly shirt. I love silly shirts, so I have a shirt that says, "Authors are people too," and it's just like, who of course they are, and it's just fun to have that on a shirt. And then I have one shirt that says, "My shirt," and it's a green shirt and yellow, stencil, like the army stencil. It
Mhm.
says, "My shirt, literally." And then on the back, it says, "See details for owners the owner of this shirt."
One of my favorite ones says, "Ask me about my T-Rex."
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then you pull the shirt up, and on the inside, it's got a picture of a T-Rex.
That's a good one. I have one from, the Animal House. I have one that just says college. That's always fun.
But here's the thing, right? What are we doing by wearing these things? We're bringing smiles to people.
Yes,
That's
and
why,
and
not
to
not
ourselves.
here in the Cracking the Rich Code podcast, but I normally wear like super brightly colored Hawaiian shirts and things
Yeah,
like that. And people have asked me, why do you wear such bright colors? I said, because nobody's ever looked at me when I was wearing those colors and not smiled.
right. It's the best. You know, my dissertation, went into, like, more of a TED Talk aspect, which I've not given yet. For those of you who are having TED Talks and you wanna invite me, I'm eager to throw down with this one, but it's "What is your SPH?" is the name of the TED Talk, and SPH
Smiles
stands
per hour.
miles per hour, baby. That's right.
I
By
knew
the
it.
way,
I had to be.
it has to be. Well, a child has the highest amount of smiles per hour because they're not dealing with anxiety. They're not dealing with given that they're in a loving environment, but they're not dealing with anxiety, bills, stressors, and all this other stuff. And the thing I ask adults right now is, you don't have to either. You can actually just have them paid and go back to being happy again. And yes, there is some anxiety, but how much are you allowing it to affect you instead of reducing
Right.
it by doing the action? There's this great quote by Gretchen, I don't remember her last name, but it is, "Action is the antidote to anxiety."
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's so easy. And yeah, we'll get the Q notes later about the last name, but I love that because people are choosing to be anxious instead of choosing to be in action.
Now, let me ask you, back in the Cracking the Rich Code book and your chapter, where you write about how to impact the world with your smile and your story. What Because I don't have a copy of 14. So what do you want people to get out of your chapter? What do you want them to come away with?
That John's a good guy. That John, you should be on John's podcast. That was the main. The main thing I wanted to share is that the importance of stepping into your powerful self of being a storyteller. Tell your story. Every story, when it's done over and over again, it can be an instrument of inspiration. And when you inspire, you are more than halfway there to converting people into what you want them to do. And I mean that in the guise of, if you have a beautiful heart, you want good things to happen. When you inspire people, you're moving them into maybe your Facebook group. Maybe you're moving them to subscribe
Right.
to your podcast. Maybe you're moving them to be on a sales call with you and they just want to know you better. So I found, John, that conversion happens with two variables, and these two variables are really, really indicative of true conversion. There's this misnomer that we buy from people we know, like, and trust, and it's not that that's not true, but we also buy from people that eat, drink, and poop. So I I think it's overstated that we buy from know, like, and trust, because I know over 500 people, and I'm going to guess you buy from five of them. It's just a guess. And there are people that have 5,000 friends and they only buy from five people. So they know, like, and trust 500 or 5,000 or even 50,000 people, because if they're in their phone, they probably know, like, and trust them on some level. And so I found that that is not why people convert and buy. It's for only two reasons. And I've studied this extensively during the pandemic, which was part of my thesis, my doctorate too. You buy from whom you're inspired by. And if you only go with that one variable, you will be duped a certain percentage of time because you're not going with the second variable, which is the verifier, which is the social proof.
Right.
So if you're inspired by somebody and you only buy on that, don't be surprised if later you say, oh my gosh, there's nothing, I don't know what I bought. And they bought the story, they bought the inspiration. All you have to do is Google that afterwards. And if there's no reviews, run. And don't run because they're evil, just run because they don't have any proof. Don't make the purchase. If you have an outrageous price,
Isn't that where the trust comes in, though?
it is, but what I'm saying is that trust is obviously the social proof, but the social proof is connected to the inspiration, is my point, not the social proof connected to just the trust. Because
Right.
that's like saying trust squared. I don't need a trust squared. I need to be inspired because the person who inspires me the most causes me to lift up into my decision to act and also to be the best product of that decision too. Remember, when we buy something, we're also in either buyer's remorse or in buyer's, I'll call it heaven. Okay.
Right.
And so um, if someone is selling something, and let's just say it's a crazy price, John, let's say it's $25,000, and you Google and you get all these reviews back, and people are saying, best money I ever spent, find that 25,000 because it was the best money you're going to spend too. If everyone in the world has experienced that's the best purchase, I mean, to be in Jim Britt's mastermind, it's not free and it's certainly not cheap, but it is very valuable and it's extremely well worth it. And that's the point of Jim Britt is inspiring. And Jim Britt's
Yes.
inspiring, but you ask all the people that he serves, they go, phenomenal experience. And that's my point, is it's not know, like, and trust. That's I'm not putting it down that there's not a truth aspect of it. I'm just saying it's less than 1% of the
Right.
aspect of the whole thing.
Well, and I think there's a truth out there that says that we don't do business with businesses, we do business with people. But there's
Exactly. Boom.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
sorry about the baboom. I should have warned you that baboom was coming.
Booms are great. Booms are great. You know, Ken, unfortunately these things go so fast and we're quickly running out of time. So I do
Well, I
want
have another
to
40 minutes I want to say real quick about my chapter. Just another 40 minutes.
Well, the first 4 minutes are free.
Man, you are in it, man. This is like a volley back and forth with smiles. This is awesome. No, you're right
I
though.
love
When
it.
you're smiling and you're having fun, there's no indication of time. And I'll make my final point in case we really are at the end, but I do have one final point. And I was a DJ for like almost 40 years. And how I sold at 85% a bride to pay us twice as much as any other DJ. There's 350 DJ companies in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Is I'd say, first, how do we earn a 5-star review from you? And they would tell us, and then I would take that down because that's how we're going to win their business and also how we're going to get the 5 stars that we really asked for.
Right.
The second thing is I would say about what is a DJ really? And they would say these answers and almost no one got it. And they would say, a DJ is an MC. A DJ is someone that, gets the crowd going on. And I go, if you really think about it, a DJ is someone that has people forget about time if they're good. If they're really good, time is oblivious. There's no one looking at this, and there's no one planning to leave because the time is gone.
Yeah.
And a truly gifted DJ will have people at the end with sweaty garments, shirts, etc., and say, "What? It's over." And that's why we closed 85%. And we closed 85%, John, 85% with twice the expense, but we knew what we were getting paid for and what we had to do to provide that value. And that's what I'm talking about with Jim Britt, with yourself. Anybody that charges a lot of money, it's not that they're worth it, but the social proof will tell you that whether it is or not.
I love it. I love it. Ken, I love your heart. I love the way that you approach life. And you have a very infectious attitude in a good way. So I want to make sure that people know how to reach you. And there, you do have a website, and it's kenrochon.com.
It is.
You also have another website, and I will put this in the show notes, and that is the smilechannel.com. And that's where you can find out information about all the events you have coming up and how people can sign up. Is that correct?
And also, a lot of people from Jim Britt's community, including yourself, have done shows. You can actually hear the shows of John. You can hear a community that really steps into making a difference in the world. And John, it is an honor to know you, and you have been such a pinnacle part of the hosting experience we have. When people are being hosted by you, they just say, "Wow, he's fantastic. He's such a pro." So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being the kind of person that makes for a great interview. And so I just enjoy people, and especially the people that we've met through Jim Britt's community and the Cracking the Rich Code. So I'm loving this, and I know people are going to love this episode. Get in touch with Dr. Smiley, Ken Rochon on LinkedIn in Book Dr. Smiley. Look for that there. Read his chapter in Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 14. And also visit kenrochon.com and also the smilechannel.com. Ken, thanks for your time. I know we went a little over time, but I think we'll be able to save the recording so that we can get all of it on there.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks again for being here, and folks, catch the next episode. There'll be other cool people. I don't know if they'll be as cool as Ken Rochon, but no, we're all great here. But Dr. Smiley, thanks again. Take care.